Hello and welcome to the Charles River Conservancy Parkland show. My name is Renata von Tscharner. I'm the president of the Charles River Conservancy, and we are going to look at some images of the Charles, very special images, watercolor images, and I'm going to read some stories. And those stories and those images have been put together in a publication called Riverstories, and you can find these Riverstories on our website, thecharles.org, where you can read them, or you can order your copy from the Charles River Conservancy, and we'll get to that. This is the second show about Riverstories. If you missed the first one, you can see it on YouTube, where all our old shows have been recorded. So I will now start our show here, and we will start with a picture of the river, of the Charles River Parklands. So these are the parklands that the Conservancy is working on, from the Boston Harbor on the right, then through the basin where the river is very wide, past the BU Bridge, up the river, Cambridge always on the north, the River Street, the Western Avenue Bridge, the Anderson Bridge, and then we come into Watertown and Allston. But that's the area, the 400 acres of parklands that the Conservancy is working on, and where a large number of people can walk to the river, and people who live there and people who work there. A large number of people also use those parklands every day. So we put together some watercolors to illustrate the stories, and I'm starting here where the river flows into the Atlantic Ocean in the new basin. If you haven't been there recently, there is now a new pedestrian bridge that links the North Point Park, which is in the foreground, goes parallel to the river, crosses over where the Boston Duck Tours go into the water, and then lands in Charlestown in the Revere Park. We're going upriver, we're looking across the river with the new North Point Park in the foreground, looking at the jail across the street and downtown Boston. Moving upriver, looking at the Craigie Bridge, which is hidden behind the Green Line Viaduct. Again, the North Point Park in the foreground with the Science Museum. Wonderful piece of art by Frank Costantino, who is a professional watercolorist, and he really captured this wonderful new park here. We going now past the old dock tower, the dock where now it's all open, but the tower is still there with the pylon of the Zaken Bridge in the background, and the little detail on the left of the green line that crosses the viaduct there. We're coming to the Longfellow Bridge, and I would like to start with a poem about the Longfellow Bridge. The Longfellow Bridge poem is written by somebody by the name of Longfellow, and it's Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and he wrote a poem about the Charles River. He wrote that he lived from 1807 to 1882, and he lived not far from the river. He could actually see the river from his house because there were not as many trees. The Longfellow house on Bradle Street, he could see the river from his house. And the poem reads as follows: To the Charles River. River that in silence windest through the meadows, bright and free, till at length thy rest thou findest in the bosom of the sea. For long years of mingled feeling, half in rest and half in strife, I have seen thy waters stealing onward like the stream of life. Thou hast taught me, silent river, many a lesson deep and long. Thou hast been a generous giver. I can give thee but a song. Oft in sadness and in illness I have watched thy current glide, till the beauty of its stillness overflowed me like a tide. And in better hours and brighter, when I saw thy waters gleam, I have felt my heart beat lighter, and leap onward with thy stream. Not for this alone I love thee, not because thy waves of blue from celestial seas above thee take their own celestial hue. Where you shadowy woodlands hide thee, and thy waters disappear, friends I love have dwelt beside thee, and have made thy magic dear. More than this, thy name reminds me of 3 friends, all true and tried, and that name, like magic, binds me closer, closer to thy side. Friends my soul with joy remembers, how like quivering flames they start, when I fan the living embers of the hearthstone of my heart. This for this, thou silent river, that my spirit leans to thee, thou hast been a generous giver. Take this idle song from me. So this was the poem written by Longfellow, and he refers to some friends. These were friends he lost in the Civil War, and it is also because of the Civil War that the road he looked onto and which runs parallel to river is called Soldiers' Field Road. And Longfellow was part of a group of people who bought the land, and he said it was in honor of some of his fallen friends in the Civil War. It also helped preserve his vista from his house, and so it wouldn't become an abattoir like the slaughterhouses further up the river. So we now continue to travel up the river, and we see here the wonderful Asian-inspired pavilion just upriver from the Museum of Science, a wonderful place to visit and enjoy the river, and it's open to the public. A different view of the Longfellow Bridge and the watery quality of that scene looking towards downtown, again seen from the Museum of Science by John O'Connor. Everybody sees the water differently, everybody sees the bridge differently, and here on a very misty, rainy day, I can even see drops on the water, again done by Frank Costatino, which captures this beautiful scene. Even in the rain, it's beautiful. Here the Hancock Tower even disappears into the fog, with only the bottom visible. We're looking towards the Lechmere Canal, which in my view really captures the essence of a true urban environment. People live on the right. There are offices, there are restaurants, there are tour boats, a real mixture of enjoyable river activities. A bit a stormy day of the Charles, and here we come to the Esplanade, and it is nearby here, near the Hatchell, where the Charles River Swimming Club, supported by the Charles River Conservancy, holds its annual swim race. And I have a story of a woman who was participated in the first swim race that was in 2007, Cha Young wrote the following. Swimming in the Charles. For the record, I was the first one in, submerging so fast that no photographic evidence remains of my plunge. I jumped in summer camp style without thinking. I sank down, down, down into the Charles, towards a history in sediment. The water was the color and temperature of lukewarm Dunkin' Donut coffee. I resurfaced, bracing myself for my skin to melt off, but it didn't happen. Instead, I enjoyed the best view of both Boston and Cambridge that anyone could ever have. The gun sounded, and I was pushed under by dozens of slippery, competitive bodies squirming to get to the front of the pack. A huge amount of the brown water found its way down my gullet, and I surrendered to my fate. Like billiard balls, the group broke up, and I was semi-alone, swimming, swimming, swimming. I didn't think about the algae that would later drain from my suit like neon Gatorade. I didn't worry about the flotsam and jetsam we'd been told we might encounter. Instead, for 36 minutes, my life flashed before my eyes, and I enjoyed the show. I remember all the times I had been on the river, if not on it. Cruises, tours, fireworks, field trips, walks, drives. I was a kid again, throwing crumbs to lure the hardy life forms underwater. Enjoying the view from the Science Museum in the 80s, when everything seemed new. Holding my dad's hand as the sparks of Independence Day shimmered over the silver-black water and reflected off the glassy skyscrapers along the bank. I hoisted myself out of the water, heaving breath. I felt a tingling sensation, but it was not the onset of an inevitable rash. It was good, clean adrenaline and happiness, afforded by the magnificent opportunity to swim in the Charles River and show the world how far the city and her people have come to make it as healthy as it is